Hi, Daniel.
Hi.
Can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Growing up in my childhood, I had a lot of trauma. Um, had a lot of things happen to me when I was younger. At 10 years old, I was sexually abused in my life. Um, at that point in my life, I had a lot of anger, frustrations, a lot of hate. I had a broken family that was still together, but there was a lot of emotions there. That was a hostile environment at times. My self-esteem was very low. Come from a poor family, didn't have a lot of money. I can remember a time where I couldn't even afford a screw for the glasses I had when I was going through school. Um, some of the other kids at school would bully me, draw pictures, and make fun of me. So I had a very low childhood growing up. My self-esteem was, probably through the floor.
So that sounds like it set you on a course that wasn't good. As you grew up, what was your main problem that developed from that?
I'd say my main problem is I had an anger inside of me that I did not know how to contain or control. Uh, I try to use substances, alcohol, and unfulfilling relationships to make that part of my side feel better. Um, it was all short term, short lived, because I would, it would go away eventually. The effects would wear off, and I'd be right back in the state of being that I was in. So it was tough to. I just try to medicate.
So were you searching for a way out?
Yes, I wanted to use alcohol and drugs to kill myself. To be honest, I wanted to use myself till I would die. There was times that I did try to commit suicide by suffocating myself. Um, I just didn't want to live, and that was the escape I was on the path. And then it would turn into if I could get adrenaline through unfulfilled relationships or you know certain types of drugs to get me high that could keep me up because I was so used to living a life in low.
Wow. So you sound like you were pretty much at the bottom. And then what happened? What motivated you to to change, to stop all that?
Well, I lived through my journey in life. I had a lot of problems with, lawlessness, rebellion, just anger, hatred. The term family I hated, um, and I just kept living life, through pride. I started developing pride and bad coping techniques and stinky thinking, stinky behavior, and I just got to a point where I ran into a pit where I had no way out. God took everything away from me. Um, he shed everything off of me where I couldn't get to the substances. I couldn't get to the unfulfilling relationships. And he put me in a place to where all I could turn to was him. And I cried out with all of my heart and asked him to change my life from that day forward and put me on a path and a journey to turn everything around because I didn't like the person that was laying in the floor crying out had become.
Were there people in your life at that point in time that you could go to that would help, you knew would help you?
Well, at that time, I started going through programs. Started with a behavioral program, which there was a counselor there, and there was peers around me that could hear my story. I could start releasing all this pent up anger and frustrations because as a child, we were never allowed to talk about anything. Whatever happened in the home stayed in the home. But I kind of carried that on even though my abuse didn't happen there. Uh, but it was just that mentality. I wasn't allowed to talk about things, and I was stuck with that until I got into these programs, starting with behavior, and then I went into a spiritual program, and then I went into a mental health program, and then after that I went into a I can't think of the word, self-control program because I had issues with all of those areas of my life, and that's where God put me on my journey to gain wisdom and knowledge and some treatment, and just to know that people can listen.
So, when did you make the actual decision to have Jesus to come into you?
That was at my point of the pit. I had nowhere else to turn. He was the only faithful being that could ever be there, and he answered me, and he heard my cry and my desperation, and he just saw me, and then he started putting me on a path to start looking like him.
And so how is your life changed now?
It's night and day. It's the best. My life has changed so much, and I can just say that I've never thought the way that I've ever thought before in my life until I got the mind of Christ, to learn His Word, to learn who He is, to be led by His Holy Spirit.
So, how is He meeting some of your needs?
He's meeting my needs because He's just, every turn I've ever needed a job or a direction or a career, He's always just put me on a path to help answer that. He's fulfilled me with a church that loves me, and I love them very much. He's given me just such a spiritual feeling, just the connection with Him that I never experienced before, because there was always something in between. It was the substances or unfulfilling relationships, and He cleared all that out, and I have such a connection with Him now. It's just beautiful.
Do you feel like you're all the way there now?
No, I'm completely not there yet until the day He returns. I'm a work in progress, and I've still got edges that need, shaved off, and I just thank God that He's working on me and through me every day of my life. And I pray to God that I can just continue to look like Him and honor Him.
That's so awesome. Daniel, what would you say to someone who's struggling with some of the same issues?
God can fix and save you no matter where you're at. He can pull you out of anything that you're in. And He can deliver and redeem you and clean you and just love you for who you are and where you're at, and change your life completely and set you on a new path, which is just blessed.
So there's no person that God can't come to.
If He can do it for me, He can do it for anyone.